Hello and welcome to Why. Instead of a traditional onboarding flow, I'm just gonna kind of yap about what's going on, as that's kind of the ethos of this whole app and what's going on. First of all, thank you so much for being here. The fact that you even downloaded my app means the world to me. And yeah, let's just get into it. So, what is Why? Why is an extension of human consciousness. Why is your counsel. So, okay, let's set the foundation. Counsel. I'll start with this. Every great ruler, every great statesman, every great emperor, czar, you name it, throughout all of history has had what? That's right, a council. A group of experts, each in their own domain, to help that ruler, that king, deliberate on what's on their mind, to help them think through problems, to help them effectively be a good ruler. But throughout all of history, this was a privilege only accessible to the few, the rich and the powerful. But what I realized is we all deserve a council, but not to make us great rulers, but to make us the best possible version of ourselves. So that's the point of Why. The point of Why is to bridge the gap between who you are and who you want to become. And the way this works is you speak that reality into existence. The way I use Why is I talk. Every day I talk about whatever is on my mind. That could be a problem, a relationship, literally anything that flows through your consciousness can be spoken out into the world and given to your counsel. And I've been doing this for about 30 days, and what I realize is that this transforms us into the teller of our own stories, our lives' stories. We become the drivers of our own destiny by talking things out. It's really transformational. On counsel aside, I would recommend you give this practice a go. I don't know what the rest of this onboarding flow will look like. Kind of the point of Why is just shipping whatever exists. And so you'll probably find out when you go to the next screen, but let's do this. This is exciting. Question 1. Who are you right now in this present moment? I guess I'll break the ice and I'll go first. I'm Andrea. As of this recording, I am 26. Today is my birthday. And as I exist right now, I would like to think of myself as a creative, as an artist, as a visionary, as a founder. I'm hardworking, I'm ambitious, and I'm driven by my curiosity. And ultimately, some combination of these traits is what got me here. I'm fortunate enough to call New York my home. I work out of a magical place called Versi, surrounded by some of the brightest and most creative people I've ever met. I built my life upon foundation of health principles. So I like to exercise regularly outside in the park under the sun. I eat a bit of an extreme diet. I eat sardines just about every day. I really just like to do things that drive me and motivate me and keep me curious. So yeah, just whatever flows through you and who you are and how you see yourself right now. Go for it. I'll be waiting in the next one. Question 2, how did you get here? So this is a bit of an interesting one. It's kind of like your life story. And I think, like all of us, I feel like my life story is special, right? I think that's kind of the point. Where to begin? I don't know, I guess in school, I was never really stimulated. I didn't care much for school. I was smart enough to get good grades, but like it was boring and I didn't see the point. So I would kind of like cause trouble, maybe to get attention, whatever it may be, to make my friends laugh. And I didn't care much about the whole college process. So going into college, I didn't know what I wanted to study. But I chose biomedical engineering for a couple of reasons. I went to Binghamton University. And the first reason is my mom really wanted me to be a doctor, but I didn't want to be a doctor. And so I thought biomedical engineering kind of sounded like being a doctor. And so I chose it. I also thought it sounded smart, which it did. People are impressed for some reason when I tell them what I studied. But more importantly, the reason I chose to study biomedical engineering is I've always been like really curious about myself and kind of like the human experience. Even from when I was a little boy, I used to ask my mom like all the time, like, why am I me? I just could not wrap my head around like why I could only see the world through my eyes and everyone else could only see it through theirs. And like, what is the reason for this? And funnily enough, my mom said I would be a philosopher. I didn't think that would be true, yet here we are. This is like kind of a philosophical exploration, if you will. Philosophy meets technology. Who knows, right? So I followed the traditional path. I got my degree, bachelor's, I got my master's. Again, I didn't really care. I wasn't stimulated, but I just figured like life would take care of itself. I'm gonna have this great degree, I'll get a great job and have a nice career and live a happy life. And when I found the second I started working was that basically was not to be the case. So I took a job doing pharmaceutical consulting, essentially. Paid very well. It was very comfortable, very low stress. No complaints there, but ultimately I learned, the benefits of a co-working space, creative space. Ultimately, it just wasn't for me. My job was effectively to check Microsoft Excel by hand with a calculator, like literally a TI-81, I think it was, and do algebra and like write out the proofs and then like write reports to like validate this like pharmaceutical process for my client at the time. And immediately I was like, okay, if this is life, like I need to figure it out. So I began to explore a whole host of things. And luckily for me, that fall, so about 6 months in, is when ChatGPT came out. And I was like blown away. Suddenly, I could like do anything. I realized right away that I could code, not something I had really known before. I grew up like off the internet. We didn't really do much coding in my program. Even the little we did, I wasn't interested in. But now I could just like tell this machine to do it, and it did it. And I was like, whoa. So I kind of like to consider myself the original vibe coder. But that's neither here nor there. So I wanted out. I had discovered this great power and I wanted to chase my curiosity to the ends of the world, but I didn't know quite how. Everyone told me, don't quit your job, don't quit your job. You have no idea what you're doing. But I really wanted to. And I was like waking up at 5 a.m., going to Starbucks before work, like coding random things, just like exploring. And I was reading David Goggins' book at the time, and basically, the deal I made with myself was that if I run a marathon, then I've proven to myself that I am like worthy of quitting my job. So I signed up for the next marathon. It was like 2-3 months out, and then got after it. I was so excited. I was a little pudgy at the time. And 1 week into this marathon training, I broke my foot. That sucks. What am I gonna do? Can't run a marathon, right? Well, if you know anything about David Goggins or me, you'll know that I'm a little too crazy for that. I was not to be stopped. So I wore my boot and then I let my foot heal. The doctor was like, do not run this marathon. You're an idiot if you do. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm gonna run it. So I essentially ran that marathon. It took me 9 hours and 17 minutes, but I did it. I was basically walking the whole way. And so I quit my job. Those first couple months, I helped my parents out. They had moved away, but hadn't gotten their house rented. So I was a landlord. I redid a kitchen, redid a bathroom, electrical, roof, yard, you name it, got tenants. So a couple of months later, I moved out and moved into my grandmother's old apartment where she had used to live. And so I was fortunate enough to have no rent during this exploration. And I joined this space, Versi, where I find myself now, although that was the old space, this is the new space. That's neither here nor there. And in university, I knew immediately that I had to teach myself how to like actually build things. So I found courses on YouTube. That's how I learn. I like to watch people. And so I found a course called iOS Development in Swift through Stanford, and I took it. And along the way, I realized that life was a series of experiments. Like, wow, I could like really teach myself anything. And so I did. I kept my lab journal, and basically I tracked everything from like videos I watched to books I read, podcasts I listened to, articles, food I ate. As mentioned earlier, I'm a little crazy with the diet, but I think it's fun. And so I built a game. I built a game called Combo, which is a combination of set and Wordle. It's like a fun little daily puzzle just to get something up and out. It took way longer than I ever would have imagined, but it felt great having done that, and immediately moved on to the next exploration, which was effectively a platform for collaborative self-experimentation. So I discovered my own drive to experiment on myself. And at the time, I was trying to clear my acne, and I figured, what a perfect starting point. We can get all the people with acne together, and we can track all the things we're doing, and we can start to connect the dots and figure out what works and what doesn't. So I was building, at the time, what was called Why Acne. You can go through my videos on Instagram or wherever and see me like eating ginger every day. I had a really crazy diet. Ultimately, I mean, you can see, I think my skin is looking okay. I was able to solve the problem for myself, but I wasn't able to build this like grand app, right? Which had been one of the goals after leaving my job. But I was very fortunate in that summer, as I was like at the very end of my runway. One of my best buddies was basically starting a company, and I joined him, and we went through South Park Commons. We were making LSD, which is effectively infrastructure for the agentic web. Now, what does that mean? That means like a web browser that AI can use to like click buttons, fill out forms without the need for a vision model, without needing to like screenshot the screen every 5 seconds. Technical stuff, really, really great experience. I learned a whole lot about like what the like real world of building a company is like, and venture and all this other stuff. But ultimately decided to step down a couple of months ago because we weren't building for people, and that wasn't aligned with who I am. And since then, I've had 2 very brief explorations before landing on this. And the first of which was what is now in the App Store as Unfiltered, which is basically 2 AI personalities in one app, very Gen Z, light, funny. The idea was for it to be like kind of like for memes. You snap photos throughout your day, and these AIs will like give you some laughs. The second was for essentially creating digital twins for like health coaches and doctors to help augment and extend their practices. And if you can see where this goes, they kind of all merged together about a month ago, actually, when I started monologuing to myself. So basically, I walk a dog in the morning, Paco. Paco is amazing. Paco is magic. Walking Paco to make a little bit of money, help me pay rent, but get me up in the morning and get some sunlight in my eyes. Funny enough, when this all started, I actually bumped into Dr. Huberman, Mr. Morning Sunlight himself. Anyway, I started monologuing as I was like, what am I doing? Like, I need to figure it out for myself. And it like hit me that it was a combination of these 3 things. It was a group chat, right? Diverse personalities. The problem with AI today is, well, number one, it's a sycophant. Generally, I think people know this now, meaning it'll just like agree with everything you say. It'll tell you how smart you are, which is not good, I don't think. I think we want AI to challenge us. So group chat, and then like this idea of twins, like prompting AI to take on certain personas. And the combination of these is what led to the council as it is now. And so I created a council based on the people I really looked up to and who I would want to sit on my own personal council. And I talk to it every morning. Not like a back and forth, but like I walk for 30 minutes and I dump everything that's on my mind. And then the council helps me think it through. And then I go about my day and I'll check back in later, and so on and so on. And yeah, I guess that's like my answer as to how I got here. I would be really curious to know how you got here. So it'd probably be like a record button or something. Record your answer. Cool. Number 3, who do you want to become? This is a bit of a hard one to answer, at least for myself. I feel like we're trained, we're brought up to like pretend that we're altruistic and like we want to help the world just for the sake of it. But I'm gonna be like radically honest, because I realized this recently. It was actually thanks to Naval, whose ideas live in this council as well. I think it's selfish, like who I want to become, and I'm just gonna be honest. I'm gonna level with the world. I want to be the single greatest founder, not of this generation, but of all time. And I happen to have gotten really lucky in that this all kind of played out the way it did. But ultimately, I think that we're on the brink of like this great transformation. And the way that's going to happen is by all of us connecting more meaningfully back to ourselves. And the way to live a happy, fulfilling life is literally just to be you in a world where you can be anything, be you. And who I want to be is the guy that brings that into the world. Like, I want to be the guy who fundamentally changes the course of humanity forever. For the good of mankind, don't get me wrong. I do want this to help people, but like, why do I want this to help people? So that people know that I'm the one who did the thing to help people, right? And maybe that's selfish, maybe that's not. That's something I have been struggling with quite a bit recently. But yeah, ultimately I want to be the best possible version of myself so that I can lead by example rather than tell people how they should live their lives, right? I don't want to prescribe a lifestyle. I want to just live my own lifestyle and be this beacon for what it means to really live authentically in this new age of abundance that we are entering. Yeah, that's who I want to be. I'm curious who you want to be. Maybe it's like a really cool painter, or a really good friend to your friend, or a really good video creator. I don't know. You could be anything. This is about you, not about me. Yeah. Okay, screen 4. I don't know if there will be a 4th screen. So maybe I should just cut